everybody, and welcome back to 539. So before we get started today, just a quick message. Now more than ever, I need all of your guys' help. If you're enjoying the videos, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and turn those bell notifications on. The algorithm is just not treating the channel very nicely recently, especially over the last year or so. So if you are indeed enjoying the videos, it really does help the algorithm to sort of turn things around when you hit that like button, when you leave a comment below, or if you share on social media especially. Appreciate all of your help. Again, if you're liking it, give it a thumbs up. Today we are heading towards this little country graveyard that we've been to before, and yes, it is indeed a graveyard, although today there will be something very different about from the last time that we were there. There was this little country church that was located right next to it. Was a graveyard for the church, and I went to look on the map today, and I noticed something different, and it appears that the church has actually been torn down, and so we haven't been there for like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years, and so I figured it would be a good time to check back in and maybe see if there's some things we missed, and possibly get a good look at this church if any of the ruins are still there. It was on the map, but sometimes the map imagery is a little bit old. Alright, well, almost to our destination, and I found an old dot matrix printer and some swampland. So that was interesting. Make sure you check out Instagram for that one. I'll put that link up here below, or actually on the screen, and check it out. All right, let's get back on the road. We are literally just now coming up on it. Yeah, it feels a little different than what it was last time. It almost feels bizarre. Not like strange, like I'm not supposed to be here or anything. Just like, I don't know, this... Hold on, I almost feel like I'm getting the wrong place. Like, the map, or the pictures that pulled up on Google Maps showed a place that I remember, but now everything is looking different. Alright, it's definitely the place with the church though, so let's get out, take a look around, see what we can find here. It does look like there's some interesting things here. I'm not seeing some of the stuff I was remembering from last time, so maybe the photos got mixed up with another place nearby that we've been to before too. I'm not really quite sure at this point, but we're gonna get out and check it out, and then go walk down and see how close of a look we can get at this ruins, or the ruins of this old 1800s, I believe 1800s or early 1900s. I'll throw up an image on the screen. There is an old image from Google Maps, and I think I might have one from the last time we visited too, so I'll go ahead and throw those up. And definitely an interesting place. Some of this I'm really not remembering. Another excellent example of the Woodman of the World markers here. Something that, from what I understand, started off in Michigan as part of a life insurance policy that people could purchase, and then may have eventually been utilized as a design by other manufacturers down the road. but kind of interesting to say the least. It is incredibly popular, but still one of those things that a lot of people just don't know about or have seen and really haven't thought of. And I can definitely hear voices. Somebody is out right now. Is that? No. Kind of looked like wild mint or something. But you can see all these old, historic, early 1900s and late 1800s. You can see this one is actually from 1862 here. So this was right at the time of the Civil War. And I'm not sure how good a look we're gonna get at our graveyard, or not graveyard, but our church, but I will show something that goes to prove what I was saying before, which is that the idea of the cemetery versus the graveyard is something that actually is rarely gone by in the field. So when you go out here, you'll find that even though this place here is a graveyard right next to a church, it's called a cemetery. And oh wow, we do have a semi-lost. It is at the very front, so nothing that couldn't be fixed, and it's obviously in very, very good condition. So, and this is one of those places I'd almost expect to find one of the geocaches, but I don't believe there is one here. However, I wouldn't mind checking around the rest of this area. I think this is too, yeah, that's gonna end in injury there. Alright, I want to check something out though first, this little center section. This looks like it's in the most dire amount of need at the moment here. Oh, you have to be incredibly careful. As this section here is collapsed, I'm sure that that headstone actually used to be a part of this little section right here. Oh, another place that is just pretty run down, but other than that, well cared for. So again, the caretakers are not always going to be cemetery experts, and so we can't necessarily judge them for not coming in here and fixing up the place. But the unfortunate part is you can see a lot of the destruction here and the weeds. Things are just in general falling apart and getting covered up. Kind of interesting, again, I see this a decent amount where it's like they use these big stones just as the family marker and actually don't fill them in where they're intended to be filled in with dates. It may be that they intended to at one point, but then never got around to it. I don't know. And then directly behind it, adjacent to it here, is another family section. You can see how the wall runs down here, but it is pretty empty. There's one right there with really, really good writing. Kind of want to check that out first here. Oh, and another metal marker here. Some of this engraving just holds up so well. And we're getting real close to the, not abandoned, but the ruins of this old church. Take a look at that real quick. But first, let's look at this, which again, I always say this, but I feel like it's important to keep reiterating it just because some people may be new to the channel, but this is indeed stone or metal, and not stone. But they often hold up way better, unless for some reason these little panels, which are attached afterwards, I'm assuming that a lot of it possibly is mass produced. The letters might be stuck on afterward, but certain parts of it are separate from the rest, and you can kind of see it here. You can see where little screws come loose here. Unfortunately, it's impossible to re-screw it in without getting some of the oxidation off there. Whoa. And the always dangerous, what appears to be an animal hole, but it doesn't go down very far. Just a little bit to the side is actually a tiny stone here. Something that definitely needs some work. And this definitely was not the place that I was thinking of. I'm not sure now. What is that one? I'm really not sure now if we've actually visited this place, so let me know if you remember it. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the command center. There's been too many of some things, like the Woodman of the World stones, to really know if for sure. I'm just not recognizing anything else here. So, I think this is new. Alright, it looks like we're coming up on an old veteran's grave here. Although, this may have been a past relative. From the looks of it, this is an old rusted GAR marker. But from the years here, it actually appears that it'd be either a World War I or World War... probably not World War II, but probably more likely World War I, or maybe even the Spanish-American War, potentially. I don't know, let me know in the comments, but the marker doesn't look correct, so I'm not actually sure if that person is even a veteran at all. But tons and tons of dates here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 11 people, or no, there's more. No, okay, it looks like about 11. It was very faint and actually kind of hard to read for me. I'm gonna have to look at it better when I get back to the command center. There's actually quite a bit more contrast on the camera. It's crazy how hard that is really to read. And nothing written on the back at all. See, that's kind of the crazy thing about this place, is it's so historic and old, but at the same time, it's definitely seeing some ongoing use. And so it's just really odd that a lot of these things end up happening, especially when it seems that there's definitely an inflow of money coming into the place. So, I don't know. I have a hard time understanding some of it. But again, if you happen to know anything about the area and you'd like to help out or donate your time, and you know the way to get something like this started, that would be awesome. And if not, if you know so in your area, make sure to spend some time helping out a few places like this in your own area. This is about as real as history can get. A lot of these people lived through the times that we read about nowadays in our textbooks. These were Civil War veterans and Spanish-American War veterans, and War of 1812 veterans, and Revolutionary War veterans, and, you know, veterans of the various Native American wars. You know, a lot of the places we even visit, you know, could be from either side, and so it really marks the individuals that partook in the historical events that we read about. And I think puts a good picture on, you know, what life would have looked like for them in a real way, because this is the area that they would have lived in. Wow. I definitely don't think we've ever been here before. I think I had it marked to visit, and then ended up visiting the one that I saw in the photos but was mismarked as being this location. It's crazy that all this, I wonder if the fence just deteriorated. It doesn't seem like something that somebody would come in and just steal, you know. I think this might have been part of the gate, but still it's not rusted enough. It still even swings freely, which a lot of these do. And that's what's so insane to me, that after all these years and seemingly no one to put any sort of grease or oil whatsoever on the hinges, they often still work even though massive sections are missing. So really kind of interesting. Trying to figure out the, okay, just very, very faint, okay. Man, that one's hard. I see 1898. That one's real hard to read at the top. I'm gonna have to look at that one later as well. All right, let's walk over to this church and see if we see anything else historic along the way. Such an interesting place. This is a really elaborate, expensive looking one. It's always interesting to see the cylindrical markers. I'm wondering how much more work something like that actually takes. And the base is very distinctive too. It's kind of interesting to think about that, you know, the train system has been being built in this country for hundreds and hundreds of years, you know, and would have been likely that, maybe not hundreds and hundreds, but would have been likely that even back then they might have heard of something pretty similar to that. An old steam locomotive going by. Now, guaranteed that one that we're hearing now is not steam, but it may not have sounded much different from some of the steam locomotives of the past. And here we've arrived at a member of the Ohio Infantry. We are actually currently in Indiana. However, we are just over the border from Ohio, and so it makes a lot of sense. Not that people couldn't move back then, but it tells us a little bit about the history of this person, and they were probably in the middle of the conflict thinking of plans for the future and where to settle down after the country hopefully settled down. And this even has a nice new memorial here with a rank and everything. Very interesting. There in the distance, you can see our freight train. And it curves around the other direction here. Thankfully, I don't have to go that way when we leave, although trains don't go forever, so I'm sure it'll be done here soon anyway. And as promised, now we are going to finally walk over here and take a look at the remains of the church, which is maybe a little less than I was expecting, but I can go ahead and walk a little ways here and turn around, and you can see that behind me here it says cemetery and not church, even though behind me right here once stood the church, and that is all now that remains of this place. So there used to be a basement and everything. It's kind of weird. It just feels so crazy. And so, what a unique place. Kind of sad that we couldn't get a final glimpse of the church house over there before it was torn down, and it's definitely in some dire needs of being repaired, as we can see right here. However, still a fascinating bit of history that we can come and check out. So many thanks for watching, everybody. I hope as always that you are enjoying the videos. Many more to come. Oh wow, I found another one. This looks like a hand-drawn stone from 1927. Look at that, it's just hidden. Jonas Rico, it looks like it says. Wow. That's incredible. And all just hidden here in the grass. Wow. Can only imagine the size of the tree when this place began. We've seen a Deal Cemetery. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you pronounce it.